Hello and happy Tuesday, which is of course my book reviews day. And today I want to talk to you about Sarafina by Philip Fracassi. This, my friends, is the advanced reader copy because this book has not been published yet. This actually comes out next month in a signed limited edition from Earthling Publications. Remarkably, it has not sold out yet. It does have a print run that is larger than the previous two Earthling Fracassi titles combined, Boys in the Valley and Gothic. But man, this is just as good. Like, Philip Fracassi is one of those authors who has blown me away with every single one of his titles. Man, Boys in the Valley, when that came out in 2021, 2021, because 2022 was Marla, 2023's Earthling, Halloween was Midas, and 24 is Ian Rogers with Family. Boys in the Valley, one of my favorite reads, if not my favorite read of 2021. A Child Alone with Strangers, one of my favorite reads when that one came out. And let me tell you right now, Sarafina, one of my favorite reads of this year. Like, this is top notch. Philip Fracassi does it again. And it's one of those titles that once this sells out, I can understand the signed edition, fetching a prettier penny than cover price on the secondary market, much like his previous two titles from Earthling Publications. This is a Civil War horror novel. The Civil War in and of itself is horrific all by itself, but it follows three brothers, Ethan, Mason, and Archie, as they are fighting in the Battle of Shiloh, which is the setting of a novella by Philip Fracassi, which is about brothers fighting in Shiloh. Unrelated to this, completely unrelated. These brothers, they don't want to die. They know they're fighting a losing battle, and so they decide to run away, to be deserters, because, it's better to try to desert and try to survive than to stand your ground and die. So they spend a good number of chapters and a good number of pages on the run from the home guard, just trying to save their own skin, just trying to, not be hunted down like the deserters they are, until they stumble upon a farm that doesn't make sense where it is. A nice little log cabin. I shouldn't say little, it's a very large log cabin, which is occupied by the titular Sarafina and her son Titus, as well as their very, very large dogs, largest dogs I've ever seen. And, well, things are strange from the get-go. The entire novel is presented from, not the entire novel. 99% of this novel is presented first-person narration from Ethan's point of view. There are a couple chapters throughout where you go into Ellie's point of view, that's Ethan's twin sister, who is still at home, kind of building up the world from that end of things. And it becomes very apparent to Ethan that things are not what they seem. Things are very strange in Sarafina's farm. There are some very strange circumstances around and happenings going on. And, well, let's just say that the horrors start coming in left and right. And before you know it, we are talking balls to the wall, absolute horror that just keeps you engaged. Holy crap. If you liked Boys in the Valley, you are going to like Sarafina. This is unrelated to Boys in the Valley, but it is that same vein of horror. It's that same vein of pace. I could honestly see this happening in the same world as Boys in the Valley. But again, like I said, they are unrelated. They are very much their own standalone novels. But you could honestly see them happening in the same world. The pace is definitely helped by the very short chapters. Look at this. This is chapter 19 right here. Ka is a wheel, that's a whole thing. Boom, two pages. You're on to chapter 20. There are 60 chapters in all, over 60 chapters in all. Very quick paced throughout its 300 pages. But man, I didn't want to put it down. I will say, those first 80 pages or so, which are very much a historical Civil War novel. All the horror in those first 80 pages are historical horrors, Civil War horrors, which are still very true horrors, before you actually get to Sarafina's little land and you get to the actual, I don't want to say what kind of horror it is. But let's just say that, you're going to see a little bit of hell unleashed. You're going to see a little bit of unspeakable horrors, but he'll speak them out for you. And you're going to see all sorts of crazy shit going on. Pardon my French. Seriously, this was incredible. Paul Miller has been publishing and Paul Miller always does an incredible job with his publishing over at Earthling Publications. But he has been doing great these past few years, especially with his single word title, novels. Like I said, Boys in the Valley wasn't a single word title, but then he had Marla after that. He had Midas last year. He had Sarafina this year. Oh man, was the Rogers one just called The Family, or is it called Family? I'm drawing a blank there. I'm excited to read that one. That one's his Halloween title. That, just to clarify, does not mean it takes place in Halloween. It's just every year he publishes a book around Halloween time. That's what he does. And man, ever since Boys in the Valley kicked in the door, he has knocked it out of the park with these past 3 Halloween titles. Sarafina, not a Halloween title. This is coming out in September, if not sooner. It does have a September date on here, but I know there have been several titles from Earthling that have actually come in early or have been ahead of schedule and gotten earlier releases. So at the latest, you should be looking at September to get a copy for yourself. Admittedly, it is a pricey edition. I mean, it's $85 for the edition. And this paperback does not do it justice. I mean, this is still a nice quality paperback that was provided from Paul Miller for review, but the hardcover quality from Earthling is incredible. We're talking cloth boards, we're talking sewn bindings, nice heavy stock paper. Maybe not as heavy as like the fancy like fine presses, but I mean that's reflected in the price. $85. You're not going to get like some crazy like really thick cardboard stock, but you get some very good paper stock. If you wanted to check out some Earthling titles for yourself without having to buy firsthand, I do have a playlist on my channel here of Earthling Publications unboxings, so you can see those hardcovers for yourself, and that includes Boys in the Valley, that includes Marla, that includes Midas, and it will include Sarafina. It includes Gothic. It will include Sarafina once I get my hands on the hardcover edition. I imagine you might get a trade edition further down the road. Boys in the Valley was picked up by Tor Nightfire. Gothic got a trade release through Cemetery Dance. I don't know of any plans for a trade release for Sarafina right now, but I'm sure we'll get one eventually. And this isn't even, I guess I was going to say this isn't even the only Fracassi title coming out this year, but I guess I don't think the third rule of time travel comes out this year. I think it's technically next year. He's got a science fiction novel coming out. I think it might be sci-fi horror. I'm not entirely sure. I have not read an advanced copy of that. But I want to. I know Jeff Terry has a nice little bound manuscript of that one that he's read. I think he did a review for Observe. It was called Observe at that point. That one is coming out through Fantasia Press. Very excited for that one. But anyways, Sarafina is still available directly through Earthling Publications as of me posting this the first Tuesday in August. But you should go out and pick up a copy for yourself. I believe it'll be signed by both Fracassi and Nick Cutter, who did the introduction. Fingers crossed, and I said this in the unboxing video of this arc, fingers crossed this means we might get some Nick Cutter limited editions coming down the road, particularly The Troop. I read that, absolutely loved it. The Troop was phenomenal. The Deep is what I got to read next. I also read The Handyman Method, which was Andrew Sullivan and Nick Cutter. That was all right. It was like a Bentley Little novel by them. But anyways, I'm just kind of going off the rails now. So anyways, order yourself a copy of Sarafina by Philip Fracassi. You will not regret it. If you love Boys in the Valley and you want more of that type of horror, you need to pick up Sarafina. And it's kind of amazing because like Boys in the Valley and Sarafina are both kind of like Stephen King horror, in my opinion. Child Alone with Strangers is Robert McCammon horror, and Gothic was more like Richard Lehman, Jack Ketchum kind of extreme horror. It's really cool to see like the different voices that Fracassi is able to write in. If you want a good example of that, go check out some of Fracassi's short story collections. He has 3 out there. He has Behold the Void, Beneath the Pale Sky, and No One is Safe, which is the newest title, which just came out this year. All 3 of them are fantastic, filled in with incredible stories with very wide ranges of voices. Plus, one of the short stories that's featured in Behold the Void, called Alter, is getting made into a feature film by A24. So you can get a heads up and read that before the film comes out. I mean, the film might not be out for another, year or two, because it was just announced. I don't think it's actually entered production yet. But still, get a leg up. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I do at least one book review a week on Tuesdays, with plenty of unboxing videos in between here and there. Check out Earthling Publications, order Sarafina while it's still available, and we'll see you around next time.